Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to AD&D Second Edition Player's Handbook Read-Through. Today, we are going to be talking about general encounters. You meet an NPC on the road. Guess what? It's an encounter. You meet a giant spider in the woods. Congratulations, you've also had an encounter. And as you can probably tell, not all encounters are the same. So let's take a look at all the definitions and what it means to be in an encounter. All right. Whenever a player character meets an NPC, fights a monster, or even discovers a mysterious fountain in the woods, he is having an encounter. An encounter is any significant thing a character meets, sees, or interacts with during the course of a game. When a player character discovers a fountain of blue flame in the midst of a forest, its very strangeness forces the character to react and the player to think. Why is it here? Does it have a purpose? Is it beneficial or dangerous? Few characters are going to pass by this and just another flaming fountain in the forest. Unless this is your 18th flaming fountain in the forest, you're going to stop and go, what the hell? Every barmaid you meet cannot be generalized as an encounter because, you've met 100 barmaids in 100 bars. Every bartender is not an encounter, but every flaming fountain in the forest is an encounter. Every giant spider is an encounter.
I don't know. I've met 100 giant spiders too.
Oh, really? Oh, well, then you're. Encounters are vital to the AD&D game, for without them, nothing can really happen to the player character. An adventure without encounters is like sitting in a room all day with no one to talk to and very little to look at. It certainly wouldn't be very exciting. And who wants to play an unexciting role-playing game? Nobody. Encounters provide danger, risk, mystery, information, intrigue, suspense, humor, and more. For an encounter to provide...
So second edition did not prognosticate 5e well.
Okay.
Who wants to play an unexciting role-playing game? Apparently a lot of people did.
Yeah, a lot of people in 5e want to be a barista. Whatever. That was years ago, but I still hate that. For an encounter to provide excitement, it must also have an element of danger. A good deal of this comes from the fact that player characters don't know how the encountered beings will react to them. Your DM is not going to say, you meet a group of peasants and they are friendly. If he does say this, you ought to be suspicious. Instead, he will say something like, as you ride around the bend, you come upon an ox cart lumbering down the road. A young man in rough clothes is leading the cart. Peering over the sides are a woman and several dirty children.
Kill them all! Oh,
get out.
I was in character.
Get out, child killer.
Oh.
Peering over the side, blah, blah. When a man sees you, he nods, smiles, and says, hail, strangers. Have you news of Thornhampton on the hill? You can probably guess that the peasants seem friendly, but your DM didn't come out and say so. Not knowing for sure is what keeps you on your toes. They could be anything. They could be child robbers.
Doppelgangers.
Yeah, they could be all that.
Those kids are worth a lot of PPE.
Yeah. Well, different game. Calm down. Oh. When your character travels or explores a dungeon, your DM will have prepared two general types of encounters. The first are specific or planned encounters. These are meetings, events, and things a DM has chosen to place in the adventure to build the story of the adventure. For example, upon sneaking into the Bugbear Stronghold, your characters find a squalid cell filled with humans and elves. Your DM has placed them here for your character to rescue or not, depending on if you're a D-bag or not. Of course, you could also be playing a trick and the prisoners could actually be evil doppelgangers, just like Max Liao said, doppelgangers on the brain. Later, while in the hallway, your group bumps into a bugbear patrol. This is the second type of encounter, a random encounter, also called a wandering one. In this case, your DM has made die rolls to see if you come upon something and, if so, what that something is. Specific encounters generally have more choices of action. Your DM may want you to discover something important or information or set up a particularly difficult battle. Specific encounters usually yield greater treasures and more magical items because they are more given to you for the adventure you're on. Tailor specific to give you information or power needed to end the adventure or get to the end of the adventure. Random encounters normally involve simple choices: run away, fight, or ignore. Sometimes characters can talk to creatures in random encounters and learn valuable information, but not often. Random encounters also tend to have little or no treasure. A patrol of city guardsmen does not carry as many valuable items on it as it would have in its barracks. Random encounters are most often used to weaken PCs, raise an unexpected alarm, hurry them along, or just make their lives difficult. Sometimes encounters are not with people or monsters, but with things. The fountain in the forest is an encounter, but your characters cannot fight it or talk to it. Well, maybe not. Could be an intelligent fountain. Who knows? So, what are you supposed to do? In these cases, the encounter is more of a puzzle. You have to figure out why this fountain is here, what it's for, and why is it important to the adventure, if at all. It may be a red herring. Lake. There you go. Something placed there just to confuse you. It may be set up for a future adventure. Later on, your characters may learn that the flaming fountain they saw is important to their latest mission. It may be a deadly trap. To find out, though, you will have to deal with the thing in some way. You could throw stones in the pool, drink some of the glowing water. Don't do that. Or have someone else do that.
And don't kiss the demon. I'm sorry. Don't swim in weird magical pools and then kiss the demon. See if there's anybody watching that gets the reference.
Okay. Maybe you try to walk through the flames or use spells to learn more. By doing these things, you may get more information from your DM. Of course, you may not like the answer. You drank the water. Oh, God.
Don't do that, DMs. That's I don't know. I used to do that too, but don't do that. Oh, you drank the water?
If they do something stupid, there's a fountain of flaming water that's on fire. I'm going to have a drink. Man, you deserve everything that happens to you.
That's fine. It's the idea of like, oh, do you do that? No, just describe the scene out there and let the player's imagination take over. Yeah. I agree with you. Yeah, let me drink this fire. What? Okay, and then describe what happens. But the whole thing, like even the meme to some degree. Do you really do that? Yes, I think we've all done that as dungeon masters, but that's something that should be used rarely.
Yeah. The surprise roll.
What?
Sometimes an encounter, either random or planned, catches one or both groups involved totally off guard. This is called surprise and is determined by rolling a d10 for each side, or only one side if the DM has decided that one of the sides cannot be surprised for some reason. If the die roll is a 1, 2, or 3, that group or character is surprised. There's an effects of surprise. We're going to get into that. Naturally, surprise does not happen all the time. There are many easy and intelligent ways it can be prevented. The most obvious is if the player characters can see those they are about to encounter well before getting close. For example, the characters may see the dust of a group of horsemen coming their way, or notice the lanterns of a group of peasants coming through the woods, or hear the grunting barks of a Knoll war party closing in through the trees. In these cases, there's no way the characters are going to be surprised by that encounter. But if a leopard leapt upon one of the group while he was intently watching the approaching riders, or if a group of goblins suddenly sprang from the darkness, then the characters would have to roll to see if they were surprised. They were unprepared for these threats and so could be taken off guard. The DM decides when a check for surprise must be made. He can require that one roll be made for the entire party, a separate check be made for each character, or that only specific characters check. This depends entirely on the situation. Now remember, there are some races that are not as surprised as easily or at all. They would not have to make a check. For example, the entire party is intently watching the band of approaching rather than, the leopard leaps. I already did that. The leopard leaps. Surprise roll can also be modified by dexterity, race, class, cleverness, and situation. The DM has the listing of modifiers that apply to a given situation. Modifiers can affect either your character's chance of being surprised or your chance of surprising others. Plus, to your die roll reduces A+. Okay. Wow, that sentence got away from me. A+ to your die roll reduces the odds you'll be surprised. A- increases it. Likewise, a minus to the enemy's die roll means the modifier is in your favor, while a plus means that things are going his way. High dexterity characters are virtually unsurprisable, caught off guard only in unusual situations. Remember, you have a dexterity modifier to surprise. It's in the dex stat block in chapter 1. So that counts. So if you have a high dex, you can react so quickly that, statistically you cannot be surprised except unless you had horrible modifiers added to your roll, or in this case, subtracted. It is important to bear in mind that surprise and ambush are two different things. Surprise works as explained above. An ambush is prepared by one group to make an unexpected attack on another group, and works only if the DM decides the other group cannot detect the ambush. A properly set up ambush gives the attackers the opportunity to use spells and normal attacks before the other side reacts. If the ambush succeeds, the ambushing group gets its initial attack, and the other group must roll for surprise in the next round. So the ambushing group may get 2 rounds of attacks before the other group can reply. So this is what that means. If you are setting up an ambush and the DM decides you've set up this ambush well and correctly, you will get 1 round of automatic actions that are not respondable, and possibly a second round if they fail their surprise roll. They don't get a surprise roll for the initial ambush. They just don't get to go. So you could get 2 rounds uncontested out of this. So ambushes are cool.
Yeah, I don't think I ever used that rule, and I kind of feel bad for that now.
There you go. Effects of surprise. Characters and monsters that are surprised all suffer the same penalty. They are caught off guard and thus cannot react quickly. The surprising group receives 1 round of attacks with melee, missile, or magic items. They cannot use these moments of surprise to cast spells. And is that a big difference from ambush? I think ambush said you can. Yes, a proper ambush opportunity to use spells and normal attacks. So a regular surprise will not allow you to cast spells in that surprise round, but an ambush will. So that's good. Something to note. A ranger on the unsurprised side could fire his longbow twice, because he gets 2 attacks per round, before his opponents could even hope to react. A fighter able to attack twice per round could attempt both his hits before any initiative dice are rolled. A wizard could unleash a bolt from his wand of lightning, which is a magic item, before the enemy knew he was there. Of course, what applies to player characters also applies to monsters, so that the leopard in the earlier example could claw bite before the characters even knew what was happening. The second effect of surprise is that the surprised characters lose all AC bonuses for dex during the instant of surprise. The surprised characters are dumbfounded by the attack. Instead of ducking and countering, they're just standing there flat-footed. Maybe even with dumb expressions on their faces. Okay, if you're the DM, don't tell a player he's got a dumb expression on his face unless he's actually dumb. That's just me. Since they don't grasp the situation, they cannot avoid the hazards and dangers very well. Surprise can also be used to avoid an encounter. Unsurprised characters can attempt to flee from a surprised group before the other group reacts. Of course, this is not always successful, since escape is greatly dependent upon the movement rates of the different creatures. But if you know a group is going to come around the corner before they know you're going to come around the corner, if you hide in the bushes, they come and go around the corner. You have bypassed that encounter altogether. It's done. It's over before it happened. That's a possibility. If both groups manage to surprise each other, the effects of surprise are canceled. For example, Wrath runs around the corner straight into some lounging guardsman. Taken by surprise, he stops suddenly and frantically looks for someplace else to run. The guardsmen, in turn, look up rather stupidly, trying to figure out why this dwarf just raced around the corner. The surprise passes. Wrath spots another alley, and the guards decide that since he's running, he must be a criminal. Initiative rolls are now made to see who acts first. So, everyone gets an initial round of doing nothing but looking dumb and around, if you're both surprised.
All suspects are guilty, period. Else they wouldn't be suspects.
To a medieval guard, yes.
That's from Troops.
Yeah, okay. Encounter distance. Once your character or party has an encounter and it has been determined whether or not anyone was surprised, your DM will tell you the range of the encounter, the distance separating you from the other group. Many factors affect encounter distance. These include the openness of the terrain, weather conditions, whether surprise occurred, time of day, yada, yada. Although you do not know the exact distance until your DM tells you, surprise, darkness, or close terrain, woods, city streets, narrow dungeons, usually results in a shorter distance, while open ground, good light, advanced warning results in an encounter starting at greater distance. The encounter options. Once an encounter occurs, you can use these options to determine what you are going to do next. First is evasion. Sometimes all you want to do is for your characters to avoid, escape, or otherwise get away from whatever it is you've encountered. Usually this is because you realize your group is seriously outmatched. Perhaps returning badly hurt from an adventure, your group spots a red dragon soaring overhead. You know it can turn your party to toast if it wants to. Rather than do that, your group hides, waiting for it to pass. Or, topping a ridge, you see the army of Frasnargith, the impious, a noted warlord. There are 5,000 of them and 6 of you. Retreat seems like the better part of valor, so you turn your horses and ride. Sometimes you want to avoid an encounter simply because it will take too much damn time. While riding with an urgent message for his lord, your character rides into a group of wandering pilgrims. Paying them no mind, you just keep riding. Evading or avoiding an encounter is not always successful. Some monsters pursue, others don't. In the example above, Frasnark, the impious, being a prudent commander, orders a mounted patrol to chase the characters and bring them in for questioning. The pilgrims, on the other hand, shout a few oaths as your galloping horse splashes mud on them, and they continue on their way. Your character's success at evading capture will depend on movement rates, determination of pursuit, terrain, and just a little luck. Sometimes when he really should be caught, your character gets lucky. Other times, he just has to stand his ground. Talk. Your character doesn't run from the encounter all the time. The attacking everything you meet eventually leads to problems. Sometimes the best thing to do is talk it out, whether it's casual conversation, hardball negotiation, jovial humor swapping, or intimidating threats. In fact, talking is often better than fighting. To solve the problems your DM has created for your character, you need information. Asking the right questions, developing contacts, putting out the word are all useful ways to use an encounter. Not everything you meet, human or otherwise, is out to kill you. Help often appears in the most surprising forms. Thus, it often pays to take the time to talk to creatures. Think about this. If you start off, instead of fighting, talking. If it was going to turn into a fight, it will turn into a fight. If it not necessarily going to turn into a fight, then talking first means it probably won't turn into a fight. But if it was going to be a fight, it's going to be a fight, whether you talk or not. So starting off talking doesn't really change the outcome that much if it was going to be a fight anyway. Speaking of that,
says not everything you meet, or is it not everything you meet, human or otherwise, is out to kill your character. But my character is out to kill everything I meet.
Well, then you're a murder hobo, and that means everything is going to be this.
One of the things that I've run into, though, and I got somebody really angry at me a couple of years ago on somebody else's live stream about this, is he talked about the players should go up to the troll and negotiate with the troll. And I was partially tongue in cheek saying this, but basically I said that it's like, no troll is going to go, well, welcome, human. How are you doing today? A troll is a monster. It's going to kill you, and you should kill it. And man, this dude spurred out on me, like completely spurred out on me about that. Like, that's so bad. Like, well, I can understand the idea of, I wouldn't say negotiation, of placating a troll to maybe get it to not attack you. But you're not going to have, well, good day, sir. What is it you are cooking today? Oh, that stew looks delicious. I would like to have some with you. Not to a troll in Dungeons and Dragons.
You are not going to befriend a troll on the street. Okay, it's not going to. Well, no, maybe if he's in a town, he's a little more civilized or has a handler or whatever. But in the forest, you run across a troll. You're not going to make friendship bracelets together. Okay, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. It's going to be a fight. Of course, there are times when you don't want to or can't run away. Running all the time is not that heroic, by the way. And there are times when you know talking is not a good idea, like to a strange troll. Sooner or later, your character will have to fight. The real trick is knowing when to fight and when to talk or run. If you attack every creature you meet, like Max Liao the murder hobo, the first thing that will happen is that nobody will want to meet with your character. Everyone knows that you just kill folk you don't know, so they don't want to meet you. Your character will also manage to kill or chase off everyone who might want to help him. Finally, sooner or later, your DM is going to get tired of this and send an incredibly powerful group of monsters after your character. Given the fact that you've been killing everything in sight, he's justified in doing this. So it is important always to know who you are attacking and why. As with the best police in the world today, the trick is to figure out who are the bad guys and who are the good guys. Make mistakes and you pay the price. You may kill an NPC who has a vital clue or unintentionally anger a baron far more powerful than yourself. NPCs will be reluctant to associate with your character, and the law will find fewer and fewer reasons to protect you. It is always best to look on combat as a last resort. Speaking of last resort, another thing is wait. Sometimes when you encounter another group, you don't know what you should do. You don't want to attack them in case they're friendly, but you don't want to say anything to provoke them. What you can do is wait and see how they react. Waiting is a perfectly sensible option. However, there is a risk that in waiting, you lose the advantage you would otherwise have when they suddenly decide to attack. Waiting for a reaction so that you can decide what to do causes a +1 penalty to the first initiative roll for your group if the other side attacks. 1 isn't that bad. Stop it. It's not that bad. Of course, in any given encounter, there may be many other options open to your character. The only limit is your imagination and common sense. Charging a band of orcs to break through their lines and flee may work. Talking to them with an elaborate bluff about the army coming up behind you might scare them off. Clever use of spells could end the encounter in a sudden and unexpected way. The point is, this is a role-playing game and the options are as varied as you wish them to be. So, what we're looking at for encounters, there's 2 basic types of encounters, a specific encounter and a random encounter. A specific encounter is placed there by the DM and is more likely than not attached to the adventure you're currently in or about to undertake, which means these are important to interact with, not fight, usually. And then there's the random encounter. The random encounter is whatever. It's literally your DM could have just rolled a die and said, oh, bugbears are here.
They give examples in like the Monsters Compendiums and whatnot.
Exactly.
I make my own.
And then you have your surprise roll. It's a D10 adjusted with a dexterity modifier for high dex, and a roll of 1, 2, or 3, you are surprised. But the other side has to roll as well. If they didn't know you were coming, they're surprised too. All of this is important to encounters because it's going to affect the way they react to you or you react to them. Are you going to fight? Are you going to flee? Are you going to talk? Are you going to avoid? Well, being surprised can make up somebody's mind about that. So bear in mind. And that is encounters. So what do we have for chat, if any?
There's a lot of conversation going on, but a lot of funny conversation going on. There's nothing to star, though. I will read the one on the Rumble side, though. It says, not everything that walks on 2 legs is going to negotiate. Otherwise, kangaroos wouldn't be such a-holes.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
I was like, right? So, but no, Bio Kiddo. Yeah, that was funny. But yeah, a lot of good, funny conversation from the chat there, but nothing that for this here. So,
Okay,
my big takeaway from this segment though was I don't think I use half those rules. I used the beginning part, the surprise and ambush.
Sure.
No, surprise. I don't think I used the ambush
rule. Yes, where an ambush, you not only can get a free round without them having the possibility to react, but you can also cast spells, where in normal surprise, you can't. And at first, when I reread that last week, I was like, well, why not? And then it hit me. Well, most spells that are attack spells have verbal and somatic components.
Wouldn't be a surprise.
Means that you're going to have to be casting and going oogly boogly boogly, and that's going to ruin the surprise.
Yep.
So that makes perfect sense. I get it.
The other one was weight, because I handle weight differently than what the book says. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't even remember the book rule for that one. So I'm sure I read it. I've read the Player's Handbook a couple of times over the years, but there's certain, it's probably been many years since I read that part. I just have my own way of handling that. So
I get it.
But so that chapter actually had more in it than I expected in terms of like, oh, that's how that's supposed to work, huh?
Well, there it is.
So
And next,
yeah, go ahead.
next segment, we are going to go over, as you can see on the screen, we're going to go over NPCs, non-player characters. There's all types of NPCs. Not everyone is a blushing barmaid or a hapless victim or a cursed villain. There's all kinds in between, and we're going to talk about all that.
All right. Please like, subscribe, and share. And see you next time.